and so we'll be having Professor Fan and the rest of the larger APICTA delegates in Pakistan, and thank you very much, Dr. Fan, for being in Pakistan. This is his first trip to Pakistan, and his first probably place right after landing in Islamabad was Raja Bazaar. So he he really liked Raja Bazaar. He has already been to Aptabad, Nathia Gali, Bourbon, and Metro Bus, and all of that part he has already done. So today I'm taking him back to Lahore. So once again, thank you very much, and once again, Lee, Tencent, everyone in the team, and also our AGG team, Ali, thank you so much for leading this narrative on the gaming and animation. Thank you, Ms. Aisha, for joining us and helping us with all the policy-related challenges we have in the government. Thank you very much once again, Chi. Back to you, Hira.
Thank you, Badr. And for all those, so Pasha ICT Awards has a category of Game of the Year. And Pasha ICT Awards are gateway to Asia Pacific ICT Awards, which will be hosted in Pakistan for the first time in 20 years. So that's a big achievement for Pakistan because we'll be welcoming, investors. Pakistan's share is $300 to $500 million. And the reported revenue by our gaming companies is $25 to $30 million. How can we really untap the potential of our local gaming industry, which has several success stories? What are the challenges, opportunities, and bottlenecks? To talk more about that, I'm going to invite Atifa Asghar. Atifa is the policy consultant in Tencent and have been working with us very closely to put this event together. Atifa, over to you.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and once again, welcome to this session. We are very, very happy to see a full house here today. I'm going to be moderating a panel session in which I'm going to invite some of the industry experts to come and talk about the gaming industry in Pakistan. So my first panelist that I would like to invite on the stage is Ali Ehsan. I'm not wearing my glasses, I don't know where he is, but I'll still start his introduction. Ali is the founder of Frag Games, a 100-man full-service game development studio developing games on mobile, PC, Oculus, PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch platforms. Ali is the current chairman for Pakistan in an International Game Development Association. He's also an elected board member of Pasha, where he chairs, as Badr said and Hira has also said, he chairs the Game and Animation Committee and is also a member of Skills Committee. Thank you, Ali, for joining. So the next panelist that we have is Mrs. Aisha Moriani. Ma'am, can we please have you on the stage? Ma'am Aisha is the Additional Secretary in the Ministry of IT and Telecom. She has been working on trade issues in the public sector for the last 25 years in various capacities. Thank you, ma'am, for joining our panel session. You can sit next to me. Thank you. Next, I would like to invite Khabar Naeem to the stage, please. Khabar is the first Pakistani to join Tencent, which is the biggest gaming company in the world, as Lee mentioned in his presentation. He's been working with Tencent Pakistan as the country head and overlooks all operations of Tencent here in Pakistan. He has been working in the gaming industry for the last 7 years and has actively taken up building the esports ecosystem of Pakistan. Thank you, Khabar. Next, I would like to invite Bilal Abbasi to the stage. Bilal is a seasoned ICT leader with 20 years of experience both in public and private sector. He has been influential in shaping the digital ecosystem of Pakistan through his extensive efforts in policy framework formulation. He is currently working as GM projects at Ignite, where he's quite excited about devising strategies to promote startup ecosystem in Pakistan. Right, Bilal? Great, thank you. Next, I would like to invite Ms. Khaya Ahmed. I hope I'm spelling your name correctly. Saya started her writing career at 15 years old, which is quite impressive, Khaya. And she's dabbled in comic books and TV, notably writing for Miss Marvel and Burqa Avengers. Very impressive, Khaya. So as a writer and narrative game designer, her gaming portfolio includes the PS5 title Destruction All-Stars, amongst many others. She's currently working at Sumo Digital while assisting the local game development sector as regional coordinator for, again, International Gaming Development Association. Now my last, and certainly not the least panelist, is Fasi Mehta. Thank you, Fasi. Please, can you come on the stage? Fasi is currently working as Business Operations Lead for Quixel at Epic Games, alongside leading Unreal Engine business for Middle East, North Africa, and Pakistan. He's a management professional with a diversified experience of over 18 years across public, private, and development sectors. Okay, now can we have some mics to go around for the panel session? Mics, please. Okay, so as we've been talking about that gaming can possibly be a great driver for economic growth in Pakistan. It has a lot of potential worldwide as well, and within Pakistan as well. And after talking to all of these esteemed and very experienced people, I realized that it's one of our hidden gems that we're just not talking enough about. As I think Badr mentioned, that the government of Pakistan has a very aggressive IT export target of $15 billion in the next 5 years. And we feel that gaming can also potentially become a good driver to contribute to that growth within the country, right? Globally, again, there are different numbers that are coming around. Hira mentioned $180 billion, the gaming industry. I have a number around $200 billion, so it's a give or take a few $billion, but that's fine. But overall, the gaming industry worldwide is $200 billion, which is larger than both music and entertainment combined. So you need to understand that gaming is huge. And as Lee mentioned, we have a huge misconception that it's only the children who are on the gaming platforms. That's not. Is the third or the fourth largest freelancing country as well. So we've got great freelancers in the country, and most of them are contributing in the IT and IT-related services as well. So in terms of skill developments, we have the potential. We just need to channelize it in the right direction so that we tell them where the money is and how it can help grow Pakistan as well economically. So moving on, I'm going to go to my first question, which is to you, Ali, and I would like you to give us a brief overview of the local gaming industry in Pakistan, because I don't think everybody in the audience knows it, and I don't think there's any formal data about it as well. So just give us a brief overview of where the local gaming industry in Pakistan stands at the moment, and what are the challenges or the obstacles that it's facing?
Best. So, assalamu alaikum everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm so happy that now with Google, Tencent, and all of these big gaming companies actually taking an interest in the gaming ecosystem of Pakistan, they're recognizing the potential that it holds. So one of the things I'd like to start with is you're hearing a lot of numbers, and you're going to see a lot of disparity between those numbers. I would like to take a quick 30-second aside to explain why that is so. It is so because these numbers do not have an accurate representation in Pakistan right now. A wide range of what the industry revenue is. Some of the figures are so far apart that without explanations along the lines of, oh, we're combining consumer gaming revenue with the game industry revenue, the numbers seem like people don't know what they're talking about. So please keep that in mind, that we do have a lack of data, and it is something that the industry is aware of. So with Pasha and some sponsors from the games industry, we're actually building an industry research paper in which we're trying to accurately estimate the size, the growth rate, the products, the exports, all of it, the key players, the case studies. And I know that PSEB has done some efforts with regards to this already. They have a gaming white paper. It is one of the more accurate representations I've seen, but the numbers I'm about to quote now should be taken with a grain of salt. This is our best case estimate with the data that we have and some extrapolation. Okay, so with that, not 30-second aside, here we go. We think that the revenue is about $100 million. Asterisks. Not all of it can be brought into Pakistan. This is a concern that has been raised with the State Bank as well, because one of the key differentiating factors from us versus the Pakistan IT industry is that the games industry is 90% products. All our companies build our own games, regardless of the scale and the quality. So they need marketing dollars to actually earn money from those games. So if we earn 100 million, we spend 50 million. And because of money controls, and this is not a criticism, I understand that there are some genuine hindrances, but despite that, the industry has really been growing. Average CEO is under 35. Worth looking at data points wise that yes, this industry does attract a lot of young talent. 15 to 20,000 people employed overall between the formal sector and the informal sector. At least $300 million worth of consumer revenue, people playing games and spending money on them. It's been very heartening to see that games is actually one of those sectors in which the government has openly engaged in conversation. Shayar is sitting here. I'd like to give him a shout out because we've been in talks about building a center of excellence, which is going to help accelerate the industry. These are the broad numbers. There are about 200 companies in this.
Even me, I thought we were under 100 until my WhatsApp group crossed 100, and I was like, oh, shit. So this is a broad data industry-wide.
What I understand is that the starting point of the guide is each one of us relating to and when you have the actual numbers are going down, then you already got some kind of report.
It should hopefully be done in September.
Okay. So, when I said push, you will not say okay, if I push you for a number in your opinion, what do you think is if, and I know we discussed about it in the number the challenges that we have, if we're able to overcome the challenges, what do you think it could be true potential of being an industry in the next few years?
Given the project sizes that I have seen, some single project contracts are north of 10 million. There are already signed projects that are working. The number that I'd like for you to keep in mind, I think in short, I think we can go from 100 to 200 million in the time of 50 years. And the data point that I would like to say is that a very reasonable, not even a top grossing game, does at least some $1 million a month. Good games, top grossers, can do $1 million a day. I don't think there's a lot out there in the industry that we should be wrong. I think we can double. This is one successful product out of the local ecosystem could be $100 million a year, just on its own. And this wouldn't even be a word year.
जाओ नहीं मैंने अपना ट्रैक किया मेरे पास 50 MB का उनका 17-18 MB का उन्होंने डेडिकेटेड दिया था वो क्या लेकिन मैं अब दोबारा उस चक्कर में जाऊँगा ना इनको 5 क्लिप मैंने यूट्यूब पे डाल दी ठीक है इनके जो कीमा करना था ना वो कीमा हो चुका हो अब मैं इसको कर रहा हूँ तो ये बहस फिर बाद में हम उनसे कर लेंगे कि इन्होंने क्या किया और हमारे पास क्या है मेरा भी फेसबुक यूट्यूब और
अभी लाइव किस पे जा रही है लाइव
यूट्यूब फेसबुक हाँ जी आप चेक करके मुझे कॉल
Now the virtual production technology thanks to crystal that will allow you to make dramas like Critical at a fraction of the cost. So the challenges are only in view that the industry is fighting, and with proper support it should get 10x more growth, right? So number one on this is obviously resource training. This is the topic restricted to that, right? But it is important to have the right lens on it. What the industry needs is experienced people today, and this is one of those problems with sitting next problems. So the only solution that we propose is Chinese proverb, like best time to plant trees must have been 5 years ago. The second best is certainly now. In 5 years, that resource pool will help.
Yes, sir.
Number two, I think the money control problem is an easy intervention that needs
मैं कर
because usually our ability to spend 50 million is both not letting us earn $200 million, and it is also stopping us from bringing that money in Pakistan, something that we need the majority of the industry. We We want to bring in money, the terms are good, and I think this this assistance will help companies and return happens. Gain investment is the investment into a 10x return with at least a 30% chance of profit because the business is more. I think the product is new, but the business is more as compared to the business. So these are the three takeaways I would actually have.
I think it was really modern that you want to add on something there?
I'm very happy that you mentioned the fact that there is a way to success of the industry before we see that. So beyond there will be the development existing. I think one of the opportunities that I was given to celebrate the successes in your mind. When you talk about Pakistan, this is something
Yes, you are paying.
you just heard $150 and I'm sure when you do a proper survey, it's another money. The point I'm trying to make is that celebrate it now. So you give the credit to those who deserve it, we review every mission, but we also encourage the young people.
Want to enter the industry, to choose this as a preferred career, to put more pressure on the academia, to give the right skills to their students when they go and they want to join the gaming industry, to tell the parents that this is a seriously growing industry where your kids, whether as entrepreneurs or as developers, designers, engineers, can make good career and great money as well. So I think the reason is we need to celebrate this on a mass level. Use the traditional media where people are sitting who make these decisions for the future of their next generations.
And I think you've got a very valid point, both of you. We need to learn to celebrate more of our successes. We're usually going on about the challenges that we face here in the country. And unfortunately, it's not just with this gaming. I think it's become a mindset as a nation as well. So we need to now move a little bit towards more positivity and celebrate ourselves, because we are doing quite well in certain areas, right? And we need to talk more about it. Okay, so moving on to you, ma'am, Aisha. So it's great to hear that the government has now started focusing on this niche sector as well. So can you just elaborate what exactly the government has in mind for this sector, and how is it planning to facilitate in terms of, I don't know, policy, resource, funding, incubation centers? So what are you guys planning on doing in this one?
So first of all, I would really like to congratulate Pasha and Tencent for organizing this event. I think this is a big success, keeping in view the start that Pakistan has already taken to promote gaming industry. I think this event is very important, and Ministry of IT and Telecom welcomes this collaboration. And we hope that through this collaboration, we would be able to develop a lot of other organizational linkages. Government of Pakistan has already initiated curriculum review program. Not just Ministry of IT, but Ministry of Planning also had a ministerial meeting to review the curriculum to ensure that relevant IT-related latest technology is part of the students' curriculum. And it's not just at the university level. Some reforms are being made even to change the curriculum at the primary and secondary level. So I think HR development is something where Pasha and Tencent can play a very important role. And then, the objective of Ministry of IT's policy is basically to develop the ecosystem. HR is one of the important components. And then there are infrastructure needs. There are around 200 studios in Pakistan, but we understand that to promote gaming and animation, more equipped, high quality studios are required. And the equipment has a lot of duties and taxes. So that is another area of work that we are working with FBR to rationalize the duty structure on this equipment. And that is part of our ease of doing business exercise, which we are doing not just with FBR, but State Bank of Pakistan also. We will soon have a dialogue exclusively for this sector in collaboration with Pasha and the relevant industry players to apprise State Bank of Pakistan that how this business works, what are their challenges, and what kind of facilitation this industry requires from State Bank of Pakistan. When we worked on e-commerce policy, initially there was not enough sensitization for the kind of model that freelancers need. And account opening and other issues were extremely important. Banks were not aware of their issues. Similarly, State Bank did not have any dedicated people to work on facilitation. Similarly, gaming industry engages a lot of young people, and this is a new industry with a lot of potential, not just in information technology, but it is being used in manufacturing, as we just heard from the representative of Tencent, in various services, including healthcare, architecture, designing. It has a broad range usage, and it will have impact on several industries. So if we put the right foundation block at this time, as my fellow colleague has just said, we will get the benefits after 5 years if it's not done previously in 5 years earlier. So these are, and then to address the infrastructure needs, we are developing in collaboration with Karachi University Animation and Gaming Center. Ignite is working on it. It is at an advanced stage in developing RFP. And Bilal is here. He can elaborate further about the details of the center. But I think that will be, again, a huge opportunity for the industry to work with Ignite and Ministry of IT and really take it in the right direction and ensure that we really make use of this investment. There are 5 NICs across Pakistan which are funded by Ignite. And these NICs are promoting innovation. And we are encouraging new technologies, use of VR and IA. And there are several startups which are interested in gaming and animation. So I think this culture of NICs is also helping to promote this industry by encouraging innovation. And there are 5 NICs right now, but the number will increase. And we will soon have one in Hyderabad and Faisalabad. So the objective of Ministry of IT is not just to stay in few big cities, but take innovation to second-tier cities as well. And we hope that Pasha and Tencent will work closely with us in taking these opportunities to the second-tier cities as well. Another important aspect of the ecosystem is international collaborations. We very frequently participate in different international exhibitions. We would like the industry to identify that which are the most important gaming and animation international events where Pakistan needs to be represented. Our success needs to be showcased. So I think by taking advantage of today's event, I would encourage the industry to indicate at least one international event, and Ministry of IT will ensure that we ensure Pakistan's presence in that event. So these are some of the main areas where we are working, and if somebody...
Very, very encouraging words, ma'am. Thank you so much. But just a small little suggestion. If you can just not, you need to sanitize, of course, the State Bank of Pakistan, but also FBR as well, please. Yes, I'm sure everybody would agree with me on that, that FBR also needs to be on the same page. Okay, so those are very interesting initiatives that the government is doing, and I'm really happy to see that you're working on multiple areas and not just focusing on one. So curriculum development and going to international conferences, making sure that the gaming industry is represented at the right forums, and then coming to the Center of Excellence and Center of Excellence for Gaming and Animation. For that, I'm going to move to you now, Bilal Abbasi. If you can just give us a little introduction on what you guys are actually planning to do in that Center of Excellence for Gaming and Animation, and then what is it that you want to achieve through that center as well? I know you guys are in the process of setting it up, so give that details, but also I would like to know what is it that you want to achieve through it.
Thank you. I think there are a couple of things that we need to know before I talk about Center of Excellence. So there are three important things Ignite is actually working on. So first one is, of course, innovation. We fund different research projects, but at the same time, we are also working on capacity building. And the third important part is entrepreneurship. So when we talk about capacity building, entrepreneurship, these are the two important elements when we see that how to promote the local industry and how to promote this ecosystem. So this demand was actually created by the private sector, and private sector actually not requested, but they deliberated this with the government that probably there is a requirement of certain studios, and government need to invest on the infrastructure, provide the basic infrastructure so that different industry like gaming and animation can actually use that infrastructure and come up with different products. So considering this demand, and again, government would like to participate in the areas where we see certain gaps. So we don't want to build studios where private sector is already working. We just want to work on the areas where there is a gap. So what we have decided that we come up with a Center of Excellence. And again, that was in consultation with the private sector. Ali, Fasi, and rest of the people were very supportive in developing the idea and then actually moving more towards the real document. We are going to make there are going to be 4 components in that Center of Excellence. And first one is, of course, that is a studio for animation and gaming. Now, we need to understand this part that even for gaming, the animation is an important part. Right now, our gaming industry is making games which are at certain part, but if you need to take it beyond that, you need to add up the animation studios as well. And it's a heavy cost, and which government is planning to bear. The second important part is, of course, capacity building. Everybody talked about it, and I think that we need to actually work more on capacity building. So considering this area, we are going to establish a training center in Karachi, and of course, it was a request, and we also deliberated that, there are around 100 odd studios in Lahore as well, and there is a huge demand over there. So probably we need to have a community lab over there or a center there as well, so that we can produce certain HR for the companies working in Lahore. Then we are going to have a incubation center, which is another important part, and a co-working space. So these are the 4 areas where we are working on. You said what exactly we want to achieve out of it. Of course, we want to stimulate this gaming industry. We want to play our role, which eventually leads to the economic prosperity of the country. So this is the ultimate goal, and that's why we would like to invest in the area which is the requirement and which is the need of the hour.
Great. So Badr, I was happy to hear that apparently the gaming hub in the country is Lahore. So your Lollywood 2.0 idea can very well tie in because they're already sitting in Lahore. Great. So thank you, Bilal. So it would be, do we have a time frame on when these centers are going to become up and running?
So we are finalizing the place. So the moment we finalize with Karachi University, the RFP is ready. Again, I'll float that to, the scope of work will be floated to all the industry leaders, and we'll get the formal feedback as well. And probably in a couple of weeks, we'll be able to actually launch an RFP for that.
So it would be safe to say that we can see these centers up and running by Q2 2023?
I would say
is that a safe estimate?
Q3.
Q3, okay, that's fair enough. Okay, so moving on to you, Fasi. We're talking about, of course, ad nauseum, the resource development that needs to be done in the country in multiple sectors and apparently in gaming as well. So what are the gaps in terms of skills and talent resources that you think needs to be addressed, particularly for the gaming industry? And when we talked offline as well, you outlined a very, I would say, a very effective and a very efficient approach on how you guys are going to go about it. So if you can just give us a bit of details on that.
Yeah, thank you. So a lot of the initiatives that have been discussed actually will help in bridging the skills gap that we face. And so the gaming industry has a very particular requirement, and we, as Quixel, part of Epic Games, and formerly, inshallah, very soon, Epic Games in Pakistan, have a very different set of requirements. I'll come to that in a bit. But when you talk about the skills, so we are a great industry, we're growing at a very fast pace, we're producing lots of casual, hyper-casual games. The skills to acquire, right, to produce that kind of a product or to render those services are not that difficult, right? Because, and I'll tell you why. If the objective is that I want to make quick money, I want to quickly churn out an application as quickly as a day or a few days, and I just want to make money. But if the requirement is I want to create a global SaaS product, a product that gains a global recognition, that requires a significant amount of effort, investment, and it's not just a designer or a developer. There are lots of roles, like any movie, any big Hollywood movie that you see has so many people that come behind it to make it happen. It's not just the actors, right? The same goes behind a good product. And I'm only specifically saying games, but there are allied industries that support a game, right? It could be infrastructure, and there are service providers, startups, or otherwise small, medium businesses that support games. So for all this, the skill set varies. One are the engineers, the group that you can find easily, rather easily, because at least this is a skill which is very common across the tech industry. And this is a similar requirement. If you're building a product, you need engineers. But the main core is the game designers and the game developers. Now that's, I mean, I'm specifically speaking from Epic's perspective, Unreal Engine, for instance, if I'm looking for, and my friend here, Ali, who is the guy who also hires Unreal Engine developers, rather is the first who ventured into console games, it's very difficult to find talent. And 90% or 95% of the people you find are either self-taught or peer-taught. And now the reason is that it's not formally taught by an organization or academic institution as part of your undergrad or grad course. Most of these top universities in the country have a CG 101 as an elective. And mostly some engineers who are really thinking, I'm done with coding and thousands of lines of code that I have to push every year, let's do this. Explore this as an opportunity. That's the reason I said, since we didn't big it up, we didn't tell that how big this industry is globally and in Pakistan and how great of a career opportunity it is, there was not enough pressure by the students and the parents and other people on those academic institutions to take it seriously as a specialized field. With that said, some universities have now started an undergrad and grad program. There is a push coming. I'm thankful to the Ministry of Planning. In a few hours, I have a meeting with the Ministry of Planning. We had a meeting with the Minister, Ehsan Iqbal, a few weeks back, in which HEC brought in lots of senior faculty members from all over the country, and they discussed how do we bridge the industry-academia gap. And one of the agenda items was around the gaming animation area, where they had some concerns around similar things. The infrastructure is expensive, it's very cap-intensive industry for us to import equipment with heavy duties and lots of things. So the easiest solution was to go on cloud. Huawei and others were providing it for free. We are providing it for free. So now, today, we are discussing a center of excellence that Air University is about to make, and which will be funded by the government. And that's a great initiative. But there is a silver lining. When you talk about center of excellence, again, the skills gap, why is it there? Essentially, this means there would be several labs, someone focusing on AI, someone focusing on 3D, someone focusing on the problems that the industry faces, and they'll innovate, and ideally should come up with IPs that are commercialized. That's how the centers of excellence ideally run. But that capacity and competence is not there because the faculty is not trained. So we came up with this program jointly as AGG as a part of setting up these centers of excellence, the capacity building side, that let's work with the government and let's create linkages with international universities, starting with, for instance, just a use case we did with University of Bournemouth, that let's send lots of faculty members for the first few years for master's program on a scholarship and also parallel in for PhDs. Till the time they return for 2, 3 years, 5 years later, they sign a bond to work in the country and then they train their faculty. But for that time, the good short and medium term approach is to come up with boot camps. Do lots and lots of those through whether the center of excellence, through academia partnerships, through industry partnerships, and we bridge that gap, which is the very emergent need of the industry. So you quickly get more skilled people in the game. So for also to attract larger, bigger studios, if Epic will, and soon we'll announce that Epic is in Pakistan, it will pave the way for many, many large companies. And it's a great thing for the industry and for also for Pakistan to look seriously in Pakistan. But then they will, the first question they'll ask is, can we find enough talent, enough developers to hire? The same question Google, EA Sports, or any other studio will ask. And I think as an industry, it's a responsibility to really work on it. As Epic, what we're doing and sharing with everyone, the wider audience, online and in person, if you want to teach Unreal Engine, whether you're at a college, at a studio, at a university, we will offer it for free. The trainings online and everything, because this is through an Unreal authorized instructor. And we are encouraging that we have lots of more Unreal authorized instructors in the country. Right now there is one. Entire Middle East, South Asia, I mean, excluding India, there is one. In India we have in 2 digits already. So we really want to quadruple it in a year, and that's doable. The similar demand we see now, I look at the Middle East, North Africa, Pakistan region for Unreal, is from